Hello everyone. My name is Rick Haaland, and I thought I'd do something fun. We recently bought for ourselves our Christmas present. My wife and I buy something for the house for Christmas each year. And this year, she decided to allow me to spend a little bit of money and get a new speaker system. Now, these speakers are not that expensive, but I am very, very impressed with the quality and the workmanship and what I got for the money. Let me introduce to you, and I did a ton of research, the ORB speakers from the United States. I will hold it up to the camera so you can get a good look. These are about 4-inch speakers, and they are made with neodymium magnets, which is no big deal. A lot of speakers are using neodymium magnets. But there's one thing that sets this speaker apart from all the other speakers that I have ever tested and owned, and that is it completely eliminates standing waves. This is very, very important. I went to college for a year, technical college, and we studied harmonics and electronics and capacitors and stereos and amplifiers and the whole thing. Whenever you can get rid of or take down standing waves, this is extremely important. And these speakers will do it, but yet they have to be set up correctly. So I'm a big, big proponent of setting up my home theater system correctly. So I ordered them from online, and you can only get them from online. They do not sell them in stores. They are ORB.com, so go to their website and take a look. Their speakers sell for, what was it, about $125 a piece in the U.S. At the time. So in Canada, figure $150, $175. There's probably a fluctuation. So we bought 6 of these, and they have a very unique system. You can put 4 of these in each channel. So if you have a 7.1 surround system, you can put up to 28 of these speakers in your surround system. But you really don't have to, because let me explain what I did, and it's working extremely well for us. They have little binding posts in the back, and these binding posts will only take 14 gauge wire. You cannot put a thicker gauge wire in there, and I think that's okay, because putting a 12 gauge wire in there, how much wattage do you want to throw through these little speakers? So 14 gauge is okay with me. I took 2 of these and I combined them to form a center speaker, because I have a 5.1 surround. And these are incredible. They don't produce standing waves. And why don't they produce standing waves? It's because the entire speaker is spherical. So if you go to a piece of a lake or water and drop a pebble down, you see concentric rings coming out. Well, think of the concentric rings as sound coming out of these speakers. If you have a square speaker or like a speaker that is designed not in spherical shape, they're not going to send out waves that don't have standing waves. They're going to have a little bit of a ripple, a little bit of a hard angle to their standing wave. The time that you can eliminate or cut down severely on standing waves, the better your home theater and your music listening environment is going to be. So we bought 6 of these, so I put 2 as the center channel, and then I put 1 as my right and 1 as my left, and then behind, left surround and right surround, and a subwoofer. Now, it's extremely important that you set these speakers up correctly, and they have got some very, very specific instructions, and I'm going to read you the paper that they sent me, because they do a very good job. It says, ORB Audio, small speakers for smart people. Dear customer, congrats. You are about to enjoy the best small speakers in the world. Now that's it can either be an arrogant statement or a very true statement. I believe it to be true. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us during setup, and I did call them before I bought them. They're very good to talk to. We love to talk to our customers, but please do us a favor of reading the manuals or watching the video setup guides for the parts you have. They are easy to find on the ORB site. Visit how to set up under more info in the main navigation menu. These are super easy to set up, you guys. You do not crosswire these speakers at any point. There's no need to. Your new orbs are all assembled by hand in Los Angeles, City of Angels, And orb spheres, stands, wall mounts, and accessories are 100% U.S. steel from U.S. mills and handmade in the USA. We choose to use what we call employment-intensive techniques. These ensure that American welders, polishers, and sheet metal workers have orb to count on for labor. So they help people out. This is especially important these days as many U.S. metal shops are closing their doors, their employees watching their livelihood get shipped overseas. So I like a product that's built locally in the U.S. I'm from Canada, but these are great speakers. Orb's tagline is small speakers for smart people. You did your research, and I did tons of research, and found Orb and took a chance on a company that you may have never heard of before. For that effort and leap of faith, you will be rewarded with performance that far exceeds the system cost. Enjoy your Orb sound system. You are one of the smart people we are looking for. Please send any photos or comments to info@orbaudio.com. Orb is growing by word of mouth, and we consider every customer to be a reference. Tell your friends and family. Save them some money and help them get the most out of their home theater or soundbar. Now, on the other side, very, very important information. If you do not set up these speakers properly, and remember, they're a small speaker, you cannot flood the speaker with tons of information, frequency. You can blow up your speaker, especially when you do that microphone, the audio Odyssey. They can get it wrong with the Odyssey, just with this system. Not with a lot of systems, but this one in particular, they're warning, be careful. Home theater receiver settings. Now, this is very, very important. You don't want to blow these speakers. You need to set the system, the speaker size, to small. I've heard a lot of audiophiles say small is a misnomer. It's really a fib. Small really means we're going to send a restricted amount of frequency to that speaker. It means less resistance in the technical world. So you have less resistance or less resistance of the, or more resistance and less frequency getting to that speaker. You want to control the amount of frequency that gets to that speaker. You overwhelm these speakers, and you're going to hear a pop, and you'll have to replace them. You have to be careful with any speaker you buy, right? So crossover. So set all of your speakers to small. When you're buying the Orb speaker, please set them to small. Not medium, not large. If you set them to large, they're going to send tons of bass, tons of mid. There's no restrictions. They're going to send all the frequency spectrum to this little speaker. You don't want that. You want to set it to small. Okay. Crossover, 150 or 160 hertz. Now, a THX certified crossover, they say for your subwoofer, should be at 80 hertz. Don't do that. So the crossover is 150 or 160 hertz, so go into your home theater receiving settings and do not leave it at 80 hertz for a THX because it waits too long, I find, and then it gives you so much information it's blasting you. So channel subwoofer LFP to LFE to 120 hertz. Channel level, do not set higher than plus 3 dB, 3 decibels. Do not. So let me explain this. When I broke these speakers in, I went into the receiver settings, and I set all of the speakers to flat, to 0, not plus and not minus, just to 0, because I wanted to break them in the proper way. So in this speaker, you have what they call a spider that holds everything, a little metal spider or plastic spider. Then you have the voice coil and the magnet, and then, of course, the case. So all of these things have to work together. So do not overwhelm these little speakers with a lot of information. Okay, so pro tip. Center. If you want for audio, like this is the reason I got 2 of these speakers for the center channel, because I wanted to boost the audio, because one of the big challenges we have as we get older is we can't hear the audio properly in our home theaters. So pro tip, enter plus, the center is +2, so I went into my channels, so let me back up. I broke my speakers in for about 20 hours at flat, at reference, 0. I put all the speakers down to 0 in my home theater reference. And I broke them in at 20 hours because it's very important that the spider inside get the same amount of pressure on all speakers. So I set my home theater to external stereo. So that way, all the pressure was the same on these speakers when you're breaking in, because I like to break in speakers. So I set my front to +2, and I set my left and right to -2, because that way it's going to bring out the dialogue, and it worked like crazy, because that's for the dialogue boost, right? So pro tip, +2, and left-right -2 for a dialogue boost. Now, it says Odyssey microphone setup may get this wrong, and it says, the caution here, this is the #1 reason for blown speakers. So be careful. Don't use your Odyssey microphone right out of the box. I don't like the Odyssey microphone setup. Okay, so it gives you the warnings, but it's so important to set your crossovers to 120 or 150. I have 150 in mine, and that means that you're going to protect these speakers, and any big amounts of bass and mid are going to be passed on to the subwoofer. Now, there's something I did with my subwoofer that I never thought I would do, and I love it. We live in an apartment, a condo, and we have people living above us. And if I turn my subwoofer up, well, guess what happens? It shakes the windows, and we have a fantastic experience, but it shakes the windows. And it's a lot of percussion. I have a ported subwoofer, so it's got a hole in it. And it's a 200-watt Klipsch subwoofer. It's THX certified. It's not a great subwoofer, but it's okay. So I was going around, and I was doing some research the other day, or last week, and it said that's about a month ago now, and it said take a piece of foam, high-density foam, and plug the hole of your subwoofer. Because a ported subwoofer, get this, takes 4 times less the amount to drive than a non-ported subwoofer. So a sealed subwoofer takes 4 times the amount of energy to power it than a open or ported subwoofer. So I plugged the hole on my ported subwoofer. And then I turned my volume and my sub up to 10 o'clock, right? Okay, so on yours it would be this way, 10 o'clock, because I'm reversed. And it was fantastic. What it did is it tightened the subwoofer immediately. And now what I get is the sound of the low frequency without all of the percussion, because I was finding the percussion was getting in the way, and it was very difficult for me to handle the percussion to balance it. When I put that plug in my ported subwoofer, it tightened the subwoofer down so much that I hear the low frequencies, and it's not blown out of the way by the percussion of the subwoofer. I like running my subwoofer much, much better now, and it will never get to the point where it will rattle the windows and bother the people upstairs. But for the first time in my life, I can hear the subwoofer kick in, kick off, and it really adds to the soundtrack. It kicks in sooner when you set the crossover to 120 or 150 kilohertz, because the sub's working more often. But for music, for like the tense times in a movie where there's a lot of drama, man, that sub kicks in. You hear it and you feel it a little bit, but not like it was, because for me, subwoofers were too overwhelming. It was too much, and my wife was always complaining. My wife now loves the subwoofer. So a little bit of a pro tip, you guys. If your spouse hates the subwoofer and you've got an open or ported subwoofer, plug that with a little bit of acoustic foam, and then just leave it at that, or turn it up a little bit. I usually was running my subwoofer at 10 o'clock, and it wasn't changing. So as soon as I plugged it in and plugged that hole, it made a magical difference. Try it for an hour, and I think you'll try it for one movie and compare the difference with the subwoofer port open and the subwoofer port closed. I think you'll really like it. I know we do, because we have a small room, and it's got a lot of carpets and some curtains, and we can control the sound very well. But wow, did this ever tighten it up? Much more enjoyable. Now, here's the interesting part. You can raise the volume of your entire system, because the subwoofer isn't shaking the windows so much, because it's too much information coming at you and it's overwhelming. Now you can raise the volume of the soundtrack, of the movie soundtrack, without being overwhelmed. Now you get more nuances of sound. So these speakers are absolutely fantastic. Coupled with the fact that I plugged my subwoofer, my ported subwoofer, I can't believe the difference. Also, the guys at ORB said, I said, look, you guys are selling I think it was a Denon receiver. So what do you think of that? And I said, I've got a Pioneer Elite. There's about 9 years old. The thing's built like a tank and it works perfectly. He said, do not touch that receiver. He said, we really like the Pioneer Elite brand. There's nothing not wrong with that receiver. So he had an opportunity to upgrade me and to sell me a receiver I didn't need, but he didn't. He said, wow, that's a fantastic receiver. And I know it is because I paid close to $1,000 for it a couple of years ago. So he said, that's a fantastic receiver. Don't touch it. So honesty, integrity, they treated me well. And any questions you have, just phone them up. I even tried to get a deal. They don't give deals. It's like Dyson vacuum cleaners. When do you see a Dyson vacuum cleaner go on sale? You don't. They're quality. They sell on the internet because they don't want to go to a third-person store and give them the money. They want to sell direct to the consumer. And when you get this little speaker into your home theater and start listening to it, what I do is I have found that I like external stereo setting on my home receiver. It's because it takes the left and right channel, hard left and right channel dynamics, and then with these two speakers in the center, it combines them, the left and right, into the center spot, and it almost gives me like a phantom or a pseudo third channel, but it's rich. When I was listening to THX, and I feel the THX is a little bit too compressed. I'll put a THX, and almost all of the sound fields is in front, right? Front of the center and the right and the left. And then you get a smattering of sound in your left and right speakers, your surround speakers. But when I have it on external stereo, that stereo coupling, that imaging, goes to the two center speakers, gives me really good, and because I've adjusted it in the receiver settings, now the audio is coming forward. These guys are holding steady, and I put it on external stereo. Now I have the same sound field here, left and right, that I do behind me. And wow, the difference is amazing. Now, instead of getting the sound field here in front and just getting a smattering of sound, we are literally bathed in sound. And I can't believe the difference. So in my case, I used to use THX settings at Dolby Pro Logic. Now I find I enjoy external stereo better with these speakers. It was an accident. I just stumbled upon it, and my wife and I listened to it, and we thought, this is more full, running external stereo. This is more full, more rich, and a much more desirable experience because you have the richness of all of the sound encompassing you all of the time. And then the subwoofer, oh my goodness. We are enjoying the ORB theater system setup like crazy. So they build a very good product. If you're thinking, I don't know, I'm on the fence, should I buy these? Pick them up. Pick them up. They have a deal where you can return them if you don't like them, but these are amazing speakers. I am going to sell my old ones, and trust me, I've got Omni Cam, Klipsch Omni Cam 6-inch, the in-ceiling speaker. I had 7 of them, and they were what, $300 or $400 a piece? These things are just as good or better than the Omni Cam because they eliminate standing waves. They instantly, and I mean instantly, improve your home theater. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my review and my take on ORB audio. Get them. If you're thinking of getting them, get them. Thanks. This is Rick Haaland. See you later. Bye-bye.